All right, we've been following closely the strike action today, and we can now speak to the Public Servants Association, the PSA, calling the strike. It says it wants 10%, but it'll settle on 6.5%. And this is, of course, after government unilaterally decided to implement the 3% wage hike increase that will in fact come into effect for public servants very soon. We're joined by spokesperson Reuben Maleka. Mr. Maleka, government moved this week to say that it would be business as usual, and it doesn't seem to have had a huge impact besides the march to Treasury affecting some roads. Is that a fair assessment?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. I must say that as the organization, as PSA, we are humbled by the mass action that we have seen today, the mass support that we have seen, not only PSA members, the supporters of PSA and other union members that have joined the public service strike, because it's not a PSA strike, it's a public service strike. It's for all workers that are being hard done by this government. Therefore, the propaganda that is being spread that the strike was not a success is laughable, because we all can see what happened at one of the border posts in Mpumalanga, where it was not normal that normally you find that kind of a long queue when people are frustrated about being standing for a queue for a long time. We have seen in some of the departments, especially at Home Affairs, that workers were all out and they've joined the mass action. So this is a huge success according to the assessment, according to what we have seen today. The numbers that were all out, it shows that members in general are very angry in the manner in which the government has been treating the public servants for quite some time.
Are you not disappointed that you are under the umbrella body FEDUSA? Are you not disappointed that COSATU unions didn't come out?
Look, like I'm saying, each and every trade union, they have their own process and in the manner in which they have to call up the strike action. And this time is us as PSA, and which is not for the first time. I think we are the workers' voice in the public sector. As you know that also in 2010, we took a stand to say that we want to go out and defend the workers to get salary increase, and other unions followed. And the trend follows that again in 2022 is the PSA that has to lead other unions to make sure that the public service workers' voice is heard. And we are proud of that. Whether other trade unions are still going to join is up to their members. But we are glad that we have seen a number of members of other unions also today in our march.
So what happens tomorrow? Will workers be back at their desks or pick up their tools? Was this a one-day strike as a warning? What's the plan for tomorrow?
This was a planned mass action to go and deliver a memorandum of demands, which we expect that the president would look into for 7 days and respond positively. And in the meantime of the 7 days, the members of the PSA and its supporters would continue to serve the public, but only during lunchtime that they will continue with the pickets in support of the demands that we have made to the president that we expect as a response within a period of 7 days. We will, upon 7 days, go and reflect if there's a response, and if there's no response, we will have another plan of action to make sure that is a total shutdown that is indefinite.
All right, we will follow that closely. Could you explain to us how it got to this point? Firstly, you say this is the first PSA strike since 2010. So 12 years later, we know that there have been ructions. We know that government withdrew from that 3-year agreement in the final year. So what's different about now? Why is 2022 serious enough to call for a strike?
Look, first of all, let's be straightforward to say that we had so much hope on the regime of under the President Ramaphosa, but in fact, it's the regime of President Ramaphosa that have actually taken away Resolution 1 of 2018. It is the same regime of under Ramaphosa that today is implementing a resolution or implementing 3% without a resolution. So we have just observed the trend that we are in this regime now moving away from the principles of democratic principle of labor practices, principles of orderly collective bargaining, and a full attack on collective bargaining. So if you take from 2010, from that time we had a smooth part of negotiations. We never had much issues when it comes to issues of negotiations. Resolutions were honored, although we also, obviously, the nature of collective bargaining, will not agree with everything, but we're able to find one another. But since 2020, there has been a trend of attack on public servants. It's either about public servants are lazy, public servants are they are bloated, or the public service wage bill is too high, to an extent that, shockingly, government reneged from a resolution. Shockingly, the same government, without a resolution, wants to implement 3%, which is nothing to a public servant.
Can you respond to what the finance minister said when he delivered his midterm budget speech? He said this in no way will undermine the collective bargaining process. And he said the facilitation process had helped all parties get to that 3%. I think he was referring to the bargaining council. Can you give us that background? Was 3% on the table at one point and acceptable to unions but not acceptable to your members? Or what happened? What is he talking about?
We are talking about a situation where we actually having negotiations that have been dragging too long, where government was offering at some stage 1%, and they moved to 2% and 3%, which the 3% as PSA, we took it to our members for mandating to go and find out if it's something that can be acceptable. And remember, this 3% comes with an incentive of there will be a 1,000 Rand cash gratuity. Unfortunately, in this round of negotiations, the employer is saying, I'm giving you this 3%, but I'm going to take away 1,000 cash gratuity come 1st April 2023. And that is one thing that obviously has angered members, because first of all, in the midst of the 3%, how do you take for 1,000 Rand cash gratuity that the government claims it makes 4.5%? So it means government wants to give us 3%, but wants to take 4.5%. That's not what members can ever accept.
All right, we'll leave it there and we'll see what happens in 7 days. Thank you very much. Speaking on behalf of the Public Servants Association, Reuben Maleka.